Hello everybody, this is Graeme Anderson, and today I'm going to be looking at the Zorro dice game and its expansion, Heroes and Villains. Now, I always associate Zorro with the movies, the swashbuckling swordplay of Zorro as he tries to right the wrongs done to the villagers, all the while leaving his calling sign to the infamous Z, or Z. No matter which version of the movie or book you read, at its heart it always has the feeling of adventure, and always worrying that Don Diego Vega will get caught. So when I saw that the game was based on that, I was excited. I was hoping for a quick, fast-paced game full of adventure. Now, this is a dice game, so it will be quick and fast, I hope, as you're attempting heroic feats by rolling dice to try and match the symbols. If you're able to perform enough feats, you get an extra heroic die and equipment to use in the final match against the villain of the game to try and become the new Zorro. So, will this game be remembered for its heroic feats of gameplay, or will it be forgotten by the next morning? Let's get it to the table, see how it's played along with its expansion adds, then we'll come back for my final thoughts on the Zorro dice game and Heroes and Villains. So here's the Zorro dice game setup. The 4 villains and their scoundrels are placed off to one side face up with their matching colored die on each card. The premium and common equipment along with the heroic feat decks are shuffled and placed off to one side. Draw 4 common equipment cards and place 4 heroic feat cards face up on top of the face up equipment cards. And each player gets a hero token. Now the goal of the game is to be the final hero standing at the end of the game after defeating the villain to claim the Mask of Zorro. On a player's turn, they will place their hero token on one of the heroic feats. You can ask one other player to join you in attempting the feat. Take the 6 Zorro dice, plus any hero dice you have gotten from defeating scoundrels, and roll. You have a total of 3 rolls, but each roll that you do, you must keep at least 1 die. If at the end of your 3 rolls you have not gotten the symbols on the heroic feat card you are attempting, and you brought another player with you, you can give them any of the dice for a 4th and final roll. You can always use the equipment that you have during your rolls, and if you have another player with you, you can also use their equipment as well. But when the other player takes your final roll, they can only use their own equipment, not yours. If you have not gotten the symbols on the heroic feat card, nothing happens. Your turn is over. If you did get all the symbols, you take the heroic feat card and place it in front of you along with the equipment card. If anybody came with you, even if you do not need their help, they will take 1 random common equipment card from the deck. You then draw another common equipment and a heroic card, so there's always 4 heroic feats, then the play passes the next player. You can have a maximum of 3 equipment cards, and within that, only one of them can be a premium equipment card. If you ever over this limit, you must discard down. When you achieve a second heroic feat of the same color, you will take the matching colored die from that scoundrel and add it to your pool. You can roll this hero die in addition to the regular Zorro dice on your turn. But when you take a hero die, a scoundrel comes into play. Place a piece of premium equipment under the scoundrel, and the next player must fight that scoundrel. They are always fought solo, and if it is defeated, that player gets the premium equipment. If no player beats the scoundrel, it and its premium equipment is discarded. As soon as the second heroic die of the same color is claimed, or the last heroic card has been drawn from the deck, then the game goes into the final rounds. The matching villain will enter play. If it's through the deck running out, the villain matching the last color drawn will come out. Each player will then get 1 chance to defeat the villain. If only one person succeeds, they win the game. If multiple people defeat the villain, then they will go into a duel, or if all players fail, they will all go into the final duel. For a duel, each player will roll the Zorro dice plus any of the heroic dice looking for sword symbols. If you rolled less than the previous player, you're out of the round. Continue until there's only 1 player left, and they win. Let's have a quick look at the expansion. The expansion expands the game up to 8 players. It also adds some equipment, and some of this new equipment is removed based on the number of players. More heroic feats are added, and probably the biggest change is that there are now multiple villains and scoundrels. Shuffle each set and place it face down, and place a die on each of the pile. When you unlock a die, flip over the top card and continue just as in the base game. The only other gameplay change in the expansion is the ability to bring 2 other players with you when performing a heroic feat. You can use both of the other players' equipment, and both of them will give you 1 final roll for a total of 5 rolls instead of the base game, which is a maximum of 4. The expansion also adds a solo mode, which I did not play. And that's all that's in this expansion. Let's get back to see what I thought about the Zorro dice game and the Heroes and Villains expansion. Theme and components. The theme is just all over the place in this game. Now, you're supposed to be the Great Zorro's replacement, so why are you asking for help? So that part's not thematic. But I did feel maybe the cards were, from the heroic feats to the scoundrels to the villains. Though even with the feats, why would you be attempting the same thing multiple times, like saving the farmer's daughter?
I get the idea, but if I fail, why doesn't the feat go away? So like I said, the theme just doesn't kind of work overall. The components themselves are okay. I really don't like the small dice though. I would much prefer standard side dice. I'm not sure why they're so small. They would all fit in the box. The printing on them is fine for the most part, but sometimes it's not the easiest to tell the two sides apart, especially the dashing and the jumping. They look very similar, and again on the small dice, they kind of just look like blobs. So larger dice, that would fix that issue. The cards themselves are good quality, and they're easy to read and understand, and I do like the art in the game. It has a very, cartoony feel to the game, and it kind of goes along with the lightness of the game. So on to the gameplay. Remember when I said I was hoping for an exciting game to match the movies? This is not it. It really is just a, here I go, roll 3 times and hope I make it. I can ask someone to join me, and early on in the game, there's no reason not to ask, and no reason not to go when someone asks you, as getting that equipment card early on can make a difference to the game. But the gameplay mechanism itself is just uninteresting. I understand it's supposed to be light, but there are so many other light dice games out there that I feel I had some choice in those. Here, you just pick a location first, and then you roll the die. And if you get one of those heroic dice, there seems to be even less choice. If you get a blue die, you're going to go after those blue heroic feats because you're better at them. And when you're fighting blue villains. So you want to be getting all the blue heroic feats so that the blue villain will come out so you have a better chance of winning. If you can get both blue dice, then you have a much better chance of winning the game because the blue villain will be coming out. Another issue I had with the game is the content. There's only 4 villains and 4 scoundrels in the base game. 1 set per color. There are also only 16 heroic feat cards, 22 common cards, and 7 premium cards. By one game, you've kind of seen everything there is in the game. And this brings me to the expansion. I'll tell you right off the bat, this is the type of expansion I really dislike. This expansion feels like they had an okay game and just decided to split into 2. Many of the things in the expansion feel like it should have been part of the base game. The random scoundrels and villains, that by far should be in the base game. The new villains and scoundrels don't have any complex abilities, so why were they pulled out? You want the solo game rules? Only in the expansion. The expansion also adds 4 premium and 12 common cards along with 8 feats. There's not a lot here, and the only minor rule change is you can have 2 people join you on a feat. Why is this not in the base game? You should not have to buy an expansion to get a complete game, as the base game feels by itself incomplete without that expansion. But the game feels, when you get right down to it, unfun. I never felt any tension in the game. I either made it or I didn't. I was never pushing my luck, going for like a Hail Mary by maybe discarding all my successes to do a special ability. It was just, ho-hum, roll the dice, see the outcome. Now the equipment cards did add something to the game, as they gave the ability to some people, and if you brought people along with you, you could use their equipment as well. But it was just not enough to inject any fun into the game. So, would I recommend this? No, I would not. I like the art in the game. I like the idea of the theme, and I like the ability to have come with you so I can use their equipment. But the game is ultimately undone by the uninteresting and unfun gameplay, and way overstays its welcome for how simple a dice chucker the game is. Coupled with the fact that it feels like they took one game and split it into a base and expansion just further annoys me. I think if this was one package, I might be a little more lenient and maybe like a 4 to 4.5. But I think the way it is, I'm giving the entire package a 3.5. And if you're only going after the base game, I would give that maybe a 3. But that's it for the moment. Until next time, thanks for watching.